The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to impeach President Donald Trump on 2 charges stemming from his alleged attempt to pressure Ukraine into investigating his political rival, Joe Biden. Now, both votes fell along party lines, almost all Democrats voting for the charges and Republicans voting against them. But this doesn't mean that the president will be removed from office. The process now moves to the Senate, where he's likely to be acquitted by its Republican majority.
After hours of debating, the first article of impeachment for abuse of power passed the House.
On this vote, the yeas are 230, the nays are 197, present is 1. Article 1 is adopted.
And just minutes later, the second article for obstruction of Congress went as planned for the Democrats.
On this vote, the yeas are 229, the nays are 198, present is 1. Article 2 is adopted.
Hundreds of kilometers away at a rally in Michigan, President Trump reacted to his impeachment.
With today's illegal, unconstitutional, and partisan impeachment, the do-nothing Democrats, and they are do-nothing, all they want to do is focus on this, what they could be doing, are declaring their deep hatred and disdain for the American voter. This lawless partisan impeachment is a political suicide march for the Democrat Party. Have you seen my polls in the last 4 weeks?
Back in Washington, Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi accused the Republicans of being purely partisan. She threatened to delay the impeachment trial until she could be sure it would be handled fairly in the Senate.
We have legislation approved by the Rules Committee that will enable us to decide how we will send over the articles of impeachment. We cannot name managers until we see what the process is on the Senate side, and I would hope that that will be soon. So far, we haven't seen anything that looks fair to us, so hopefully it will be fair, and when we see what that is, we'll send our managers.
With voting concluded in the House of Representatives and Donald Trump becoming only the 3rd US president to be impeached, Americans now face the next stage in the process, the Senate trial. That's due to begin in January. But Democrats face an uphill battle, considering the Senate is Republican-controlled and they need a 2/3 majority to remove President Trump from office. For now, the Capitol is about to begin a brief period of calm over the holiday season as members of the Congress and Senate spend time in their homes across this starkly divided country.
Well, we're joined now by Boris Vormann, political science professor at Bard College here in Berlin. Nice to see you again, Boris. Good morning to you. The impeachment now moves to the Senate. When is it going to get there? Both sides say they want a speedy trial. And can you walk us through what happens now in the process?
Well, there's sort of a transmission now with some from the House becoming managers of the case and moving it on and presenting the case to the Senate. And then there's some equivocal statements that we've heard about how it will then move on. The question is whether the Republicans will allow any witnesses. The Democrats are insisting on additional witnesses, and so there might be a bit more of a drawn-out process. But I think what both parties want to avoid is a clash with the presidential elections in November.
Okay, so how long could the process take, though? You know, how much time are we looking at in the Senate?
Well, I think that there's hope that it could be done early in the year, in the spring, so that during the primaries it will be over and done with. But there's also an incentive, a small incentive for the Republicans to draw it out a little bit longer, because what the impeachment trial does is to bog down the senators. And if Warren and Sanders are still in the race, they will not be able to be on the campaign trail.
Okay, now, is there a chance that the Democrats' bid in the Senate will pass? Republicans, of course, have the majority there.
Well, it's as everybody says, it's highly unlikely. 20 Republicans would have to move to the other side. And given what we've seen, not just yesterday, but over the last course of the years, there's a deeply polarized political system. It's very unlikely for that to happen. And so it remains to be seen. But as long as public opinion doesn't shift on this, and it hasn't, this is probably not going to happen.
Okay, then why are Democrats pursuing this course? The president's described it as self-destructive. Why are they going down this road?
Well, I think the argument here is that the founders of the Constitution, the founding fathers of the US, have decided that there are certain mechanisms in place or have to be in place if democracy is going to be protected. And if there is someone who puts their private interest above the general interest, then these mechanisms should be played out. And this is the Democrats' argument. And so they're saying we're doing this because it needs to be done. We've been reluctant. Nancy Pelosi has insisted on this multiple times, and Nadler as well. They've been reluctant to get this process started, but then they had to follow through.
Okay, Nancy Pelosi, back in March, said there's no grounds for impeachment. She didn't want to go down this road. What changed for the Democrats?
Well, I think having looked at the evidence after that was what for them made a difference. The other thing is obviously the polarization, not just between the parties, but within the parties. There's been a strong constituency within the Democratic Party that's been arguing for impeachment. And so she had pressure from both sides, basically.
Okay, how do you see the impeachment process playing out in the elections? Trump won the former Democratic strongholds in Michigan and Pennsylvania. How is this process going to go down in those key swing states in the next election?
It seems like the positions are very polarized again. It doesn't seem like this will change. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in those swing states. There is a reason why Trump was elected and why they went from Democratic strongholds to Republican backers. I don't know, however, either whether what Trump has been doing in office and the kinds of reforms that he's been trying to get started really have affected those voters in a popular and helpful way. So it remains to be seen.
Okay, Boris Vormann, thanks so much for coming in, giving us insights this morning from Bard College here in Berlin. Thanks very much.
Thanks.